Guys, we are here back at the Yacht Club Adriaco. This is the day 4 of the Melges 24 World Championship 2025. We had a big guest, and now we have another big guest, a big guy sailing in the Melges 24 class from years. Andrea,
yes.
We are here with Nigel Young. Nigel, you are sailing on Altea, Italy 722, the boat of Andrea Racchelli, former world champion of the Melges 24 class, but let's go to talk about you because you are sailing in the Melges 24 class, if I'm not wrong, starting from 1993.
Well, almost. 94 I started. It's very interesting listening, because I had the pleasure of sitting in there listening to Vince and Dave, two legends in our sport of sailing, not just Melges 24s, and Vince touched on something. I remember when the Melges 24 first arrived in Europe, which was 94, and it was like a spaceship had landed. You know, it was such a different boat. We'd not seen anything like it. I think I'm right in saying it was the first asymmetric keelboat, fast planing boat. And when the first time we sailed it, we didn't know what we were doing. Honestly, we had no idea. And we couldn't jibe, we couldn't tack, it was weird, but it was the start of something really special. And I've been sailing it ever since. Some small breaks, but mostly non-stop.
Let's talk a little bit in a few seconds about the history, how it grew up the class here in Europe, and what do you remember about the key factor of the success of the Melges 24?
It was it's some of the best sailing I've ever done in my career. I've been sailing since I was a child. My father was a boat builder, so it's in our DNA. But I think the thing about it was so advanced for its time, and nobody knew what to do. So it was a massive learning experience for everybody, and it just caught the imagination of all the top sailors, and very quickly. It started in the UK. I was working as a sailmaker for Diamond Sails in the UK when the boat landed, and British Aerospace were building the boats, and they had quite a good vision. They basically built 10 boats. And they lent those boats out to 10 of the top sailors in the country. And some of the sailmakers were given a boat, and we were lucky enough to be given a boat for a winter series. And we started, and we were racing against Laurie Smith and John Merrick, Ian Walker, some of the big guns of sailing. And
Laurie Smith for me was a hero. Laurie Smith,
for sure. And Laurie,
a rock star looking.
Yeah.
He was similar to Keith Richards from Rolling Stones.
Exactly, or Mick Jagger even. But no, Laurie's still winning today. He's racing the Dragon class and the Etchels at a very, very high level. But to go back to your question, I think that the boat just caught the imagination of everybody. It was something new. It's something we hadn't seen. And very quickly so it started in the UK, and that class built really quickly. We had a sponsor. We had British Aerospace as the builder, so there was quite a lot of money, and that helped. And Glenfiddich, the whiskey company, were a sponsor very quickly. And so the regattas were good from the start. There was always a good after party. There was always good organisation. And then I think one of the biggest things for the class was when the French Federation adopted the 24, and it absolutely exploded in France. And we would just go to a regular open meeting, like the acts we have nowadays. We go to a regular open meeting in France, and there'd be 60 or 70 boats. And as a sailmaker, so I've been a sailmaker all my life. I've sailed the Melges a long time, but I've been a sailmaker even longer. And when in those early years, I guess that was it was around the Worlds time, the 98 Worlds when Vince came over. There were probably 30 sailmakers operating in the class, and everything was different. There was the Allman approach was with the Dacron mainsail and the laminate jib. North sails were onto laminate sails all around, and then some of the French companies were trying all sorts of different things. And when we went to France, a little bit like you guys are doing today, not with the live streaming, obviously, because that wasn't invented back then, but they had the French TV there, they had helicopters, and all the big French stars. I remember Luc Perron was sailing, and some of the other big multi-hull guys were brought into the class, and it was unbelievable. We had the Snim Regatta at Easter in Marseille, We had 2001, 2 and 3. We had over 80 boats for that at the Easter Open meeting.
We are returning at the time of Sebastian Coe, that was the winner. I have just a question before to have some question from Andrea Falcon. Why do you think that now in French we have no more Melges 24 sailing?
I think it's because it's no longer supported by the French Federation. And I don't know why that changed, but the one design classes in France, I mean, I'm not an expert on French sailing, but my understanding is if a class is supported by the French Sailing Federation, the yacht clubs all get behind it, and it will grow. It will just happen. And we had, I don't know how many years, but we had a lot of years with the French fleet, very, very strong. Yeah. And maybe it was cost, because the Melges is not the cheapest boat to race. Maybe it was that, and they decided that, you know, for their school sailing and universities and things like that, the boat was just too expensive. And then I think they went for the J80 next.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened. And then we saw a big decline, but fortunately then Italy joined in, and the numbers got strong here. So.
In fact, Nigel, my question is similar to the one of Mauro. This is the 26th edition here in Trieste, organized by Yacht Club Adriaco, and you can see the statistics. We have 10 times world champion was a crew from United States, 9 times was a crew from Italy, so we are already 19. Then there is one that it's USA with Ireland in 2016.
Right. Yeah.
Then we have 2 not Italian, because they went to Switzerland with Flavio Favini, Tiziano Nava, Stefano Rizzi, and all those guys. So let's say it was Italian. We have an Australian who won, but Luna Rossa was the team. And then we have 1 victory from Switzerland and 1 victory from France. He mentioned that 2004 Sebastian Coe, and then in 2015 Christopher Rass. So it's like it's a big derby between United States and Italy. Why is that?
I mean, the Americans have always been strong in the class, obviously,
of course,
because it was born there, and got a big following because of the whole Melges family, and they I mean, I was actually in the factory there.
Sorry to interrupt you. The last 3 world titles, in fact, were won by team from the United States.
Yeah, they're on a roll.
Okay,
so exactly. Somebody needs to try and stop that, but I'm not sure if that's going to be possible by the look of things. But no, I was going to say, I was in the factory with Harry Melges in Zenda recently, and the passion they have for the sport is still alive, and when you speak to Harry now, and obviously there's the legacy of his father, and all the team at Melges Boatworks, you know, they look at sailing as an industry on one hand, but they want to create classes and keep people sailing and make the sport actually available to a larger audience, and you see that now with the new classes that they're doing. But to go back, I think like it developed in the States. We had Vince and Dave Allman doing their thing in the early days. When the Italians got involved, it sort of lifted the level a little bit more. You know, we had some very, very high level teams straight away, and then the Americans have responded to that, and now we have a super high level competition. It's great to see.
Okay, and then we're talking about helmsmen, not crew members. You're sailing with Andrea Racchelli.
Yes.
That, only talking about helmsmen or owners, is a world champion sailing here still, because he won his world title in 2018.
Yes.
He's also the only world helmsman world champion of the class Melges 24. You are on that boat. Do you feel that as a crew that you have somehow to defend the prestigious Andrea Racchelli, or not?
It's an absolute honour for me to sail with these guys. I've sailed against, and I've known the team, I think since 2001, a long, long time. And of course we had the tragedy of Enzo being killed earlier in the year, and we was just sat around, because we sail with those guys in other classes. We were sat around the table and they were talking, and who's going to, you know, we need a crew for Enzo, we need to, you know, and all these things. And I was like, okay, me, I'm going to come. And like in my career, I sail, nowadays I run a small sail off for North Sails in Ireland, where I live.
Yes.
And I sail professionally with different teams, but with the Altea team, this was an opportunity for me to sail with my friends. And so I'm here purely because I want to sail with those guys, and I wanted to do my 21st World Championship. I wanted to get over the 20 number.
All right,
I've missed the last two because my owner has stopped sailing in the class. So it was great. It was a great opportunity, and it's nice to be here.
Let's go back. We've been talking a lot about history. Let's not be nostalgic, because also the present is very important. So Wednesday, we had that exceptional race with boat, several boats, 2 boats dismasting.
Yes. Yes.
We know that you went close to that problem.
We got very close.
In fact, your result as with 2 DNF did not finish in the first 2 races. Tell us something about that, the action, the thrilling on your boat that day.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was we had a pretty okay start, and we weren't in the top handful, but I think we were around about 10. And as we turned, we sailed along the spreader leg. It was pretty fresh, it was quite windy, but over the years, we've done so many windy races, it wasn't really anything to be worried about. And literally, as we turned the top mark, there was like somebody had shot you in the ear. The bang was so loud on the boat, and nobody really knew what had happened, because the way the backstay splits, there's 2 fittings on the back of the boat that hold the backstay in place, and one of those just tore straight out the back of the boat. Fortunately, the backstay is when it's windy like that, you shorten the backstay and wrap it around the engine. There's some engine mounts in the back of the boat, and you use that to shorten the backstay. And what that meant for us was that when this fitting came out of the boat, I think the backstay only moved maybe 200 millimeters, something like that. And Andrea's reactions were such that you see in your live stream that we're broaching and lying on our side, and he did that so the spinnaker wouldn't set. Because it had the spinnaker set, we would have been rig number 4 or 5 or whatever it was. So we were lucky, very lucky.
Very well. No, lucky, but well done.
I mean, Andrea managed that really quickly. He didn't know what had happened, but the bang was so loud, it had to be something serious. So yeah, we sort of pressed the stop button at that point.
Nigel, maybe you can explain something else more regarding how it's possible that you are going to dismast with a boat that has the spreader with the angle toward the back if you're going to break the backstay.
It's just the sheer, the spreaders are swept. The mast is not that stiff really, and to control the bend, you have quite a lot of lower tension. You have obviously the upper shrouds, and then you have the lower shrouds going in into the spreaders. So those are quite loaded in a breeze. You have quite a lot of tension to stop the overbend low down. So if the backstay goes, there's obviously all the spinnaker force is on the top of the rig, and then you can get a little bit of inversion. The mast actually bends in the wrong direction, and then that's that.
We were talking the other day with Mauro. That's a good question that he pointed out. How can a crew in a world championship remain focused and keep that fire inside, knowing that the first 2 races did not finish? So it's a huge mountain to climb.
Yeah, it's difficult. Obviously, when it happened, it was pretty windy when we left the race course, and we were repairing the boat back on the shore, and we were hoping that there would just be 1 race, and then we could still be in the game. But the reality is, we're out of the game now. We can't achieve the goal that we wanted. I mean, I'm not sure with what Andrea's goal was, but we haven't sailed enough. This is only his 2nd regatta this year in the class, so genuinely we haven't sailed enough to think we could win the championship. But with his record, we should be inside the top 10 quite easily, and so it's hard. It's hard. And then we had some hanging around. And yesterday's race, I mean, we didn't get a great result. We finished 22nd, which was disappointing. But for me, the race was right on the limit of whether it should run or not. And I understand the race committee has shorter races, and they need to get some races in. So if I was the race officer, I probably would have run the race, I'd say. But when your things aren't going quite so well, and what can you do? It's part of the sport. So to go back to the first part of the question, it's very difficult to keep the passion going right now, honestly.
All right.
We're all competitive sailors, and we can't win the championship, so we try to win a race. Maybe we go from there. Yeah.
Okay, Mauro, because I'm checking some news that are coming here. No, so doesn't mean much, but the race committee boat at least went out. It doesn't mean anything. There is no communication. Just to know, we are from above here, from this brilliant terrace working. We can see the Gulf of Trieste. It's just a little news that the race committee it's out there, and we have an AP flag ashore. Mauro, the closing, it's for you.
Let me tell you that when you have nothing to tell regarding the last news, also the movements of the race committee boat it's something important, you know.
Yeah.
So, Nigel, many thanks to be here with us and to have shared with us your memory regarding the Melges 24 class. I think that you will have also the 22nd, the 23rd, and the 24th. Melges 24 wars in your sailing career.
Maybe that's got to be the target. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, you have to go for 3 more.